Great to have you back, and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for your hospitality.
Well, we are super excited to be talking to you today. I mean, I'm going to speak for myself here, especially because I definitely listen to your show every time it comes out.
There you go.
So, big time listener, and really, really grateful for what you bring to the mental health conversation, and just helping people, just so practical, and yet with compassion and honesty. And so you have a brand new book called Building a Non-Anxious Life, and we'd love to hear more about it and like why you wrote it and all that.
Yeah, it came about for in a couple of ways. One was I'm a nerd by trade, and so I was sitting there being my nerdy self, reading my nerdy articles, and I had this moment when I was taking notes. More people than ever before in human history are under the care of a mental health practitioner, or someone with a license, who went to a lot of school to be able to sit with somebody and say, I think I know what's wrong with you. More people than ever before in human history are taking some sort of medication for some sort of mental or emotional health disorder. And it was this moment when I sat back in my chair and thought, oh my, because the trend line for anxiety, depression, all these things continues to be a rocket ship straight to the moon. It's almost entirely vertical. And I had this thought, what we're doing is not working, right? When they discovered penicillin, within a few years, deaths from infection fell off a map. And what's happening is the opposite. So it sent me on a rabbit hole, and I've experienced anxiety. I've lived stressed out of my mind for years on end, and I've been burned out at my jobs. I just sat back and said, okay, if I was to sit down with a single mom with 2 kids and say, here's a roadmap to a more peaceful home, right? The fruits, like to a home, a life worth living. An over-the-road trucker who's got 2 kids whose dad left, but he wants to be a better dad. How would I give him that roadmap so that those anxiety alarms aren't ringing off the hook all the time? And so I think it's important to define anxiety. Anxiety is just a smoke alarm in your kitchen, letting you know that it has detected somewhere in your life you're not safe. That could be because you're lonely. That could be because you're isolated. It could be because a bank and a mortgage company own your soul. It could be you're at a toxic boss, your marriage is falling apart. Whatever it is, your body's just doing what it was designed to do, which is to get your attention. And we live in a culture designed to distract us. And so what we do is we climb up in our kitchen and we take the batteries out of that smoke detector, and we are all high-fiving each other that the alarm has stopped ringing and our home burns down around us. And so this book is, what is the most simple way I could give somebody a roadmap to putting out the fires in your home, which are the actual issues, not running around with our fingers in our ears trying not to hear the smoke detector.
I love it. I love, too, that, it's not just like, what you need to do is you need to see a therapist immediately, which maybe you do, but you're giving us in this book 6 daily choices that we can make, and I'm just going to name them: connection, freedom, mindfulness, health and healing, belief, and reality. And these are things that I love the title. It's because for me, it's very provocative. Building a non-anxious life. It's like, does that even exist? But it sounds like you're saying some version of it does exist if you kind of make those a part of your daily life. Am I getting that right?
That's exactly right. I'm tired of our culture going to war with our bodies. Our bodies are designed to take care of us. And so instead of a whole bunch of professionals telling us that somehow we're broken, we're malfunctioning, we're not right, what's beneath that? What's my body trying to get my attention for, right? That's curiosity and awareness. What is it trying to tell me? And so that's these 6 daily choices. Here are these things I can do on a daily basis. And it sounds overwhelming. I do this every day. I mean, you can never brush your teeth on a Monday so good that by Thursday you don't have to brush it. Right? So you got to do that every day. You can never work out so good on the first day of a month that you can ride out for the rest of the month, or have a salad that's so great you can have Twinkies the rest of the month. You can't. That's our life. But for some reason, when it comes to our mental and emotional health, we want to have our cake and eat it too. We want to stay up all night and not sleep. We want to text people we're not married to and feel alive that way. We want to watch endless amounts of Netflix and bury our faces in our phones and be up to debt in our eyeballs. And our bodies are screaming at us, you're not safe, you're not safe. And so really this book is me saying, I believe in you more than you do. And I especially believe in you more than your culture does, because our culture tells you you're broken and we have to come rescue you. And I believe that you can sit back in the driver's seat of your own life, and those smoke detectors they're going to slowly go away. They're going to stop ringing all the time because the fire is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I love everything about this. I've always liked the way that you put that, and the fact that anxiety is just an alarm system, and that we don't have to be. Sometimes when I get into a spiral of anxiety, I'm like, oh no, I'm getting anxious, and then I get anxious about being anxious, and then I'm just, as you like to say, off to the races, and then it's just not good. So I like the idea of coming at myself with curiosity so that I can hopefully find the root and find healing. But what if I love the idea of this book, Building a Non-Anxious Life. I love the idea of, okay, yeah, reality, connection, freedom. But it's so daunting and it's so overwhelming because I feel, okay, I can even know where to start, but I feel so behind the eight ball that I don't even want to take that first step because I feel defeated before I start. How do I switch my brain in that regard?
I love that you asked that question. I originally wanted to call this book How to Change Everything, and it was my wife, who, by the way, was Dr. Delony long before I was. She's way smarter. But she said, John, I would never touch that book. I said, why? You could change everything. And she said, it's too much. She said, I'm trying to breathe, and I don't have time to change everything. I've got to get your son to school and your daughter to brush her teeth. And it was this, oh, man, like it's a layer deeper and a layer deeper. So I think, honestly, I created these in a wheel, right? And I think you start with choosing reality. What is the state of my marriage? What is the state of my finances? What's the state of my work? What is the state of my spiritual life? What is this? How am I moving through the world? And it's kind of like we go on these weight loss journeys, but we never even took the time to get a baseline. Or we run really fast in a workout and we don't even measure how far we went or how quickly we got there. So choosing reality is about taking inventory of your life, and that is a radical step in our modern world, because everyone tells us you're good just the way you are, whatever you feel, whatever your truth is, you're all good. If someone else has a problem with you, it's their problem. They need to move out of the way. And I think that our bodies are saying that's not the way nature works. And so we have to start with choose reality. What is the state of things in my life? And as you mentioned, when I find myself getting anxious, and by the way, I have been buried over with this. I've bought my counselor, who I see here in Nashville to this day. I'm fairly certain I bought her a lake house with as much as I've seen her. And I've had a season of medication. So I'm not against those things. In fact, I think those things, what an amazing time in history that we have access to those things. Mm-hmm. But I think we do those things so we can get support to go do these hard things, which are these daily choices. Mm.
Yeah, I totally agree. What if I take inventory of my reality and I come to the conclusion that it's somebody else, another human being in my life, whether it's a parent, a coworker, a spouse, that seems to be the cause of my anxiety. Like, oh, okay, being in their presence is what's causing me anxiety, but I can't really get away from them. What do I do about that?
Well, I would challenge you initially on I can't really get away from them. Mm-hmm. So one of the steps here is choose freedom. And I think it's important to take an inventory of who are we connected to, whether, again, it's a mortgage company or an auto loan company, whether it is a soccer coach telling us what our family is going to do for the next 9 years worth of Saturdays and Sundays, what our Little League coach or our dance coach, our kids' coaches are running our lives, or my obsession with what college my kid is going to go to someday 14 years from now. Or it might be an abusive spouse. It might be a mother-in-law that just won't stop. And so part of choosing freedom is choosing boundaries, choosing I'm worth not coming home to my house terrified to exhale because I'm not safe here. And all of those choices have downstream challenges. If you choose to get out of debt, then you're probably going to have a couple of years, depending on what your situation is, of working 3 jobs and missing a lot of T-ball games so that your home can have peace and joy and laughter. If you're in an abusive relationship and you have to part ways, Financially, it's going to be scary. You're going to be lonely. Single parenting is scary. All those things are scary, and you're worth coming home and your shoulders dropping, not you tense up even more. So all of these things, like I mentioned, they all have a cost. The last chapter in the book is called Choose Your Hard. Take the hard path. And I think we have bought into an illusion that there is an easy path, which is the path of Twinkies and pizza, and there's a hard path, which is the path of portion control, not eating too much sugar and going to the gym. And the picture I like to paint here is being 100 pounds overweight is really hard. It's hard with the judgment. It's hard in the airport. It's hard on your knees and your back. It's hard. And losing 100 pounds is really hard. So the path forward is not easy. Living in an abusive marriage is really, really hard. It's scary hard. And getting out of an abusive marriage is also very hard. So the path forward is not one is easy and one is hard. The path is both paths forward are difficult. Choose the difficult path that's going to get you where you want to go, not the one that's going to bury you alive while you're still living your numbed out life.
Mm. That's a really good point. That's really good.
Yeah, love that so much. And then, okay, let's say I make that hard decision, and then
this is heavy for a morning show, right?
But it's good. It's where we're all living. So
Let's just do a quick verse of duck tacos again.
Yes, right, exactly.
Right. I make that choice, and now I'm on this hard path, but I know it's going to be worth it. But I'm feeling lonely as an adult, especially hard to make friends or a new community. How in the world do I go about doing it?
I think you have to start from a place. The story I like to tell is they gave my granddad cigarettes when he was a kid. My granddad was born at the turn of the century. They gave him cigarettes when he was young. These cool little sticks that they could inhale that would calm kids down.
Wow.
And then they realized, it's going to kill everybody. And so they figured that out when they were in their 20s and 30s. And there was a wave of, hey, you got to quit smoking. You got to quit smoking. It was really, really difficult. Similarly, we have, without realizing it, handed every kid in our community a cell phone. We've handed them a video game controller. We've handed them a remote control to a TV. And overnight, we've created the loneliest generation in human history. And like smoking, it will kill us all. And I don't say that in a hyperbole way, in a sensationalist way. The data is very, very clear. Everything from Alzheimer's to cancer, to stroke, to anything you can imagine. Our bodies are simply not designed to do life alone. That's not how we were created. And so I have to approach making friends, making community with that level of intensity. This is going to kill me if I don't figure this thing out. It's not just like, I want somebody to go to the mall with. I don't even know if your younger listeners even know what a mall is. But like we have to approach it that way. And then I think we have to be honest with ourselves. If you were a veteran, a combat veteran, and you spent several years overseas with a group of men and women who were on a daily basis getting between you and a bullet, it's very hard to roll out of your suburban bed in your suburban neighborhood and have Dan with his loafers and his knee-high black socks waving at you in the next driveway. That's hard. That's going to be hard. Those relationships are going to be very, very different. And you still got to go do it anyway. And so what I like to tell people when it comes to choosing connection is you got to go first, and you got to be weird, and you got to be awkward, and you got to keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up. The goal isn't to belong, because when you belong, you end up squashing part of yourself. You end up hiding parts of things that you think are funny or you think are silly or ways you would normally dress or whatever. You start doing things different so that you can. I'm talking about a group of people that will love you if you've got a pile of laundry on your couch. And if you're just invite everybody over and say, I got half a casserole, you bring what you got, and let's all hang out. That's what we're aiming for. And sometimes that's talking, sometimes that's shared experience, sometimes that's shoulder to shoulder, guys digging fences and fence posts together. Whatever it happens to be, that's a problem you have to recognize is super important, and then we just got to go be weird and try to solve it.
So good. I feel like that covers a great amount of this book.
Well, it means the world to me that you guys open up your house again, so I'm grateful. So you can go to johndelony.com. It's in pre-sale right now. And if you know anything about writing books, pre-sale is a big deal just in the literary world. So I'll bribe you to buy it early with a bunch of free gifts. If you go to johndelony.com, you can pick it up for $20 right now.
Excellent.
Cool.
The release date is what?
You'll have it in your mailbox if you pre-order it October 3rd, and it will be in all the stores across the country and Amazon, all that October 3rd as well.
Thanks again.
Hey, blessings, good folks. I'm grateful for you.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.